There is a massive Texans trade update as the Texans are in position of making a blockbuster trade before next month's trade deadline for a running back that could change the perspective of this team. As we're going to give you all the details of what that rumor is right here on Texans Digest. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we appreciate you joining us as always. And we're going to get straight into things today as a new article writes that the Texans have been linked among top trade fits for the Jets running back Breece Hall, which, as many of you know, the Texans has a bit of a question mark at the running back position. Joe Mixon has been out for some time. Nick Chubb, Woody Marks kind of been splitting the carries. And so on paper, it makes sense to go out and trade for a running back while you still can before next month's trade deadline. And in the eyes of Pro Football Focus's Bradley Locker, the Houston Texans are among the teams in the mix that could be a strong fit to send an offer to the Jets for his services. He had this quote to say about the potential trade, saying, "On the heels of a letdown 2024 campaign, Hall has rebounded nicely in 2025. His PFF rushing grade has remained relatively the same at a 69.4 mark, but he's increased his yards after contact average 3.50, while gaining an explosive rush at a 21.2% clip. Beyond that, Hall has flourished as a receiver with a 71.8 PFF receiving grade with 6.3 yards after the catch per reception." This has been one of the highlights of Breece Hall so far. Yes, the Jets are 0-6. Yes, they have not won a game. They look god-awful on the football field, but Breece Hall has been one of the things that have gone kind of right for them, right? His ability to get yards after the catch and be able to be more productive as a receiver, but also as a running back, is a good thing for not only him, but for the Jets, and could be a good thing if the Texans decide to trade for him. And Locker kept going, expressing his belief and about Hall, saying Hall's future in New York seemed bleak at best given Braylon Allen's development. And even with Allen sidelined for much of the rest of the year, the Jets will likely prioritize other pending free agents over their inconsistent back. And so, going off of that, the Jets are very, very likely to make a trade. They're 0-6. They have absolutely no chance of being good in the near future. So it's back to rebuilding if you're the New York Jets, if you were not already there already. And so this trade makes sense for the Jets to make. Now, in terms of a Texans perspective, what would that look like? Well, of course, like I mentioned before, Nick Chubb and Woody Marks are sharing the cost of these carries, right? Mixon's return is an even bigger question mark at this point. At first, it was going to be the first 4 games, and then it turned into Nick Caserio saying that we'll figure out after the bye week. It'll probably be a few more weeks after that, and so that is kind of a detriment to this team and not having that consistent run game and having their starter, last year's starter, who won us a lot of games and was a big part as to why the offense was clicking at the times that it was. And so having Joe Mixon is a big thing to have, but if we don't have him, what can we get in return? Hall could be that guy, and he could add a welcome boost to the run game on a short-term deal as a young runner at 24 years old, proven to be an effective back in past seasons and throughout a rebound campaign thus far in 2025 for the Jets. And these are his stats so far. And after looking at these, I'm going to give you my perspective on making a trade for a guy like Breece Hall. As you see here, again, the Jets are winless so far in the 2025 regular season, but Breece Hall's stats have kind of varied from game to game. 19 carries, 10, 9, 14, 14, 22 carries over there in London, and didn't really rack up that much yards this past week, despite having the most carries on the season of only 59 yards. And he has had a 107 game, a 29, 21, 81, 113. So it really is bouncing a lot everywhere. And that was the kind of the downgrade or the negative on Breece Hall is his ability to be consistent, how he was in prior years. So far this season, he does not have a rushing touchdown. He does not have a receiving touchdown. He has no touchdowns in 6 games with the New York Jets. Now, you can go and say it's because he plays on the Jets. It's because their offense is horrible, what have you. But I'm looking at these scores here. I see 34, I see 30, I see 29, or I see 10, 32, 10, 27, 21, 22, 11. Not the best offensive output, but I feel like in some way, some shape or form, a touchdown is certainly possible in the first 6 games of the NFL season. So from my perspective, US, you would be getting someone who is a bit of a veteran, 24 years old, has some experience in the league. You would be getting another Iowa State player to add to the Iowa State players that we already have on the team, and that would be absolutely great for the Cyclone fans out there. But at the same time, I just don't see this adding up for Houston in the long run. I feel like you can continue to utilize Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. Emphasis on Woody Marks. I want to see him to be able to play more and see him play more, get more carries against the Seahawks on Monday night. But I feel you can kind of roll with that until Joe Mixon comes back. I don't see the appeal of going out and getting a guy like Breece Hall when the stats aren't necessarily eye-popping, aren't necessarily the best things in the world. A player who has been struggling and struggled a lot last year, and it seems to be a bit inconsistent this year as well. Yes, his yards after catch and becoming more of a threat as a pass catcher is there, and that's very appealing for sure for Nick Haley and this Texans offense. But at the same time, I just don't think this move makes a lot of sense in terms of the difference it is going to make for the, say, 3-4 games that we are going to have him as the starter, to have him playing a significant amount of the snaps when we know that Joe Mixon, hopefully, at some point is going to come back this season. And so until we get another update about Joe Mixon's injury, we do not know what the timetable is for a return for him. Of course, whenever we have that, we'll give it to you guys and we'll give you all the details of that. But for right now, it is still a question mark. But I don't think it is enough to go out and get a guy like Breece Hall. If it was someone more talented and someone who had a little bit better numbers, I would be more willing to make that trade. But Breece Hall, to me, is not the right price, is not the right guy to go out and get, right? Although very talented and although he's had some successful games, I don't think this is in the cards for the Texans. I don't think they should make this trade. I think they should really roll, honestly, with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb as a combo back. The veteran, the rookie. I personally love Woody Marks. Not to say I don't love Nick Chubb as well. I think he's done a somewhat solid job last game and being able to make sure that that run game was established to open up the offense against the Ravens. And so there is that with that. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this possible trade. Is Breece Hall a guy that you think we should go out and get, or do you think there's another running back out there that makes more sense for the Houston Texans to acquire? Again, we got a very important game coming up against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night. It is a road game. It's going to be in a very, very tough place to play, but the Texans, they're going to show up. They're going to be prepared for another W to add to the win column. We're going to give you all the details as to what is happening with all the team and what the mindset is going forward to make sure that we can try to get back in this AFC South race. The Colts are looking really good this year. They are looking very, very, very good. Daniel Jones back from the dead, quite honestly. And of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars are making some noise as well with Trevor Lawrence and those guys putting up some good games as well. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. Stay tuned for more updates, and if you have not already subscribed, go ahead and do so now. We'll see you on the next one.